So it's the 6th of January. We got some nice sun. Hampton's there. We're going to ride to Ozone today out of Crossville. And we're supposed to be a snowstorm coming, but we're just keep riding. Alright guys?
Hi. This.
Hey. The local Methodist church is rather large. These they got some style. Most of the modern churches suck the way they look. And you got the old Methodist church behind it. That's pretty cool. An old stone church. There's a hardwood sawmill. Yeah, these kids gave me a ride last night. And they go, yeah, there's nothing to do in Crossville, just a bunch of churches and bars. It's really interesting, you know. You get in a town with nothing but churches. It makes you wonder. I never like staying in a town where the cops jack me up. You know, it's like, yeah, glad to know your town too. I'll just keep going. Crossville, I guess, is one of those towns. "99% of the cops I meet are pretty nice people, you know. But this sort of protect and serve has become sort of stop and agitate and check out everybody and run your DNA and get the top 5 items they want off your information, you know. Check your ID. No probable cause except that you're riding a horse. Jeez. Big time criminal on horseback. That's pretty good. Old tow truck. Presley's, Crossville, Tennessee. The battery shop. In this part of Tennessee, you see a lot of rock for stonework. There's a house back there. It's really nice, been sort of abandoned. It was made out of rock. All gutted out. Maybe they'll rebuild it. But they got all kinds of rock here that you can construct out of. J.M. Schaffer Quarries. We're headed over into these mountains to Ozone. We got a couple more hours today. Pretty soon we'll be Rockport tomorrow and up towards Knoxville, Oak Ridge. Up over the north side of Knoxville on about an 8-day run to the Virginia border. And can't wait to get to Virginia. This is a really old rail bed that heads from Crossville to Ozone. We're about 6 miles from Ozone. 6.5, something like that. Well, we were here before. We remember this place, and it's still going. That's good to see. Big mine in the mountain for this operation. Okay, on between Crab Orchard and Ozone, Thomas Bigfoot Spencer. Thomas Sharp Spencer first visited Middle Tennessee in 1776. In the spring of 1778, he became the first Caucasian to clear land, build a cabin, and grow corn in the area. The following winter, he resided in a giant hollow sycamore tree south of Bledsoe's Lick. I remember this story as a kid. His great stature and his solitary life earned his nickname. Thomas Spencer was ambushed and killed by Indians near Crab Orchard in 1794. There's a great old railroad trail, it's what you don't often see anymore. Way up there. You don't go crossing that with any horse. Here's our ice club. Got a lot of ice still. It's not as cold today as it was yesterday by any means. Probably about 20 degrees right now is all. 25, something like that. This is like an ice palace. Really something. Oh boy. Oh. So yesterday I rode out of Crossville. I was really glad to get out of Crossville because the cops were a little bit of a pain in Crossville. And so I was riding out of Crossville on the back road 70, and a guy was working on his truck, and I stopped, and he goes, I said, I'm headed down through Ozone, and he goes, talk for a bit, and then he goes, you be careful going down through there through Ozone, it's a bit rough. And I didn't know exactly what he meant, but I got a bit of an impression, so I rode down through the canyon to Ozone, and the last part, you know, it's real narrow and twisty and stuff, and Bigfoot Spencer, I showed you that sign. And I got to Ozone, and it was really like clustered in. This little waterfall, this rocky place, it was really clustered in. There wasn't a connection to the interstate, so there wasn't a gas station or anything there. You know, there's an old sign. Maybe there'd been a Gulf or something there. But there's an old sign and a couple houses and stuff, you know, and it was gonna get dark pretty quick. And so Hampton and I had to hurry up the road because the road was real narrow, and I didn't want to, it's hard because no cars could see if it got dark. So I got up there, and I went up to this one house, you know, and I knocked on the door, and an old lady came to the door, and I said, hey, I'm looking for a place to put my horse. There's a place around here I can put up against the trees or something. And she seemed real nervous and scared, and I started getting this sort of, you know, this sort of you know, like Twilight Zone feeling about Ozone, you know, like maybe, you know, you got to change the name of your town if it's called Ozone, you know. So, so she goes, well, I don't know, that place next door is not mine, I don't really know, you know. So I said, okay, sorry to bother you. And I went down the street and I went to another house that was down past the corner, knocked on the door, they had the TV cranked way up inside, they couldn't hear anything, and so I went up and looked around for a place for Hampton, and then I come back and I knocked on the door again, and their dog started barking. I thought, well, that's good, they're going to come to the door. So finally this lady comes to the door, and I said, hey, is there that place up there behind that old building, you think anybody care if I put a horse back there? I just traveled across to New York, you know. The lady is like, you know, looked out the window first, you know, I waved at her, and she come to the door, you know, and everything. And then she goes, oh, that Opal, she's my aunt, the one where you asked over there, she's my aunt. Her husband passed away, and I said, well, up there behind that old building there, there's some grass. Could I put him up there? I don't know, you know, I just really don't know, you know, I just really don't know, you know, I just really don't know nothing, you know. Ozone. Watch out for the ozone. So I took Hampton up there and found a little spot, and I tied him on a short rope. I didn't want him to have very much rope, you know. And old Opal in Ozone, her dog starts barking at me, you know, barking, you know. And so now it's a little dark, you know. So I go back to the door of the lady, you know, where they had the TV cranked up, and I knocked again. She does the same thing. Open the curtain, look out, gotta wave at her, flash the secret number. She comes and turns on the light, and the porch comes to the door, you know, and she goes, you know, you ought not be knocking on people's doors at night, you know. Around here, you're just liable to get shot, you know. It's like, join the 21st century, lady. Like, if your town is that much trouble, then just like hire 100 police, or, you know, just shoot the hell out of that place or something. But why live in a state of constant fear and worry? So it's pretty freaky, you know. I mean, people that are that impotent that they want to spend all their friggin' time mistrusting people and being afraid. I mean, that's a little bit over the top, but it is Ozone. Okay, so I take the saddle and I set it at the corner to see if I can get a ride, and I thought, well, I didn't tighten up the halter in Hampton, I better go back there and check them. So I took my saddle away from the corner and put it up against the telephone pole so that no truck turning that corner would hit it and run over it, you know.
and I walk up sort of nervously, because this is Ozone after all. I walk up sort of nervously up towards where Hampton is. I mean, like I'm, you know, 20, 30, 40 feet away, looking at my saddle, and this little Mini Cooper turns the corner, and it stops really quick. I thought, now what would this be going on? It stops really quick. A guy jumps out. He goes to the back of the Mini Cooper. He opens it up. He picks up my saddle, and he's sticking it into the back of the Mini Cooper. And I thought, I can't believe this. Someone's going to rip. I mean, I'm 30 feet off up the road. Someone's going to rip off my saddle that fast. I mean, this it really is Ozone. So I run back down and I go, hey, that's my saddle. And he goes, oh, okay. And he goes, I thought somebody fell out of their truck, and I figured if I didn't pick it up, somebody else would. And it's like, you know, if I see something of somebody's, if it's worth more than 5 cents, you know, anything laying on the road, you know, I look. If there's a pair of pliers laying on the road, I look and I see, well, it's that guy's house. It fell out of his car. He'll be out and pick them up. You know, I just, whatever I see, I'm very slow to put my hand to it if it isn't mine. You know, I'm going to, hey, look around and go, well, let's leave this saddle over on her porch, and then if somebody comes and they're looking for it, they'll go knock on her door. So anyway, I got talking to this guy. His wife gets out of the car and goes, well, we're on our way to church. And they said, we can take you to Crossville after church, but we're late for church already, right? So my saddle goes into their car after all, and they give me a ride to church. And it's an old church, not very many people come anymore in Ozone. And when we left, they give me a new Schofield Bible. It's pretty nice. And then they give me a ride to Crossville, which is very nice. But and then they let me park the bus on the church parking lot. I got some water for Hampton, grained up Hampton, and I'm going to ride out from here. But Ozone is a very different place on the map, and you be careful when you go through Ozone, because a name like that, it lives up to it, let me tell you. And just be careful now when you go riding your horse down through Ozone. Alright? So Michu says to me, you know, like, if I'd gone another 10 feet around that bush, he's putting that saddle in that car so fast. If I'd gone another 10 foot around that bush, and he was in a hurry anyway because he was late to church. If I'd gone around that bush to check on Hampton, I would have come back. He would have driven by. I would have walked down to the corner. My saddle would be gone. I mean, I'm talking 30, 40 feet. I would have walked that short a distance, and my saddle would have been gone. Then what I would have done? I had no idea where his church was or where he went. So I would have been without a saddle, without my saddle blankets, a halter, everything. So be real slow to put your hand on somebody else's goods.